Hey gorgeous! Imagine being part of a movement that empowers women to lead without limits. Welcome to Leadership Unscripted, Lead Without Limits on Unlimited TV 247.
In this powerful series, seasoned women leaders in civic and political leadership share their stories of triumph and perseverance. From labor leaders to movement makers and business trailblazers, these women will inspire and motivate you to take your rightful place in leadership. You'll hear from women who have broken barriers, overcome obstacles, and achieved greatness.
They'll share their experiences, insights, and advice on how to lead with purpose and passion.
So young women, don't miss out on this opportunity to learn from the best. Tune in to Leadership Unscripted, Lead Without Limits on Unlimited TV 247 YouTube channel. Like, share, and comment on our videos. Subscribe now and join the conversation. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and empowered to lead without limits. Watch Leadership Unscripted now on Unlimited TV 247.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Coming to you, will be the last.
All protocol duly observed. My question, I am Ambassador Eniola Cole. My question is this. One of our speakers on the panel had mentioned how we can get it done in a systematic fashion. And one area that is a lacuna is the area of the wards. We keep saying, go to the grassroots to get into politics. But what is the structure for ensuring that there are women, even at the ward level, whether it's the council or in the LGA or in the LGC? What is the structure for getting women in there? We mentor students from universities and we have a pool of young women who are interested, but how are we going to get them in there? If at the top we don't have so many women, it means that there is a systemic problem from the grassroots, and we must ensure that we treat it from that angle. Start getting women into the wards, into the LG, so that when it's time for elections, you have people to elect. If not, at the top there will be nobody. So please, let's also, as we push this bill, ensure that we get young women in from the grassroots, and ensure that we also do not jettison God, because it will be an act of God for us to get this bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We talk about three things. We say you appeal to the heart, the head, and the hands. The head, the heart, and the hands, in that order. So when you have something to say, you say it with facts. Once you lay it out in facts, that's to the head. You're speaking to the head. Then you connect it to the heart, especially if it's on issues that has to do with your own self-care. For example, I would use the restroom. If you're speaking to maybe the school leadership and you're talking about maybe sanitary conditions for women, you give them the facts. Do you know that in this school we have a total number of, let's say, 155,000 students? Of that number, 80 of them or 90 of them are women. And each time we're on our period, we need to use the restroom 2 or 3 times more than we would use it. Now, most times when we go, it's either there is no water or there is no, or the toilets are not even enough to access, for one person to access. It means we have to frequently leave the classroom to go to the hostels to use the restroom. This is not effective for learning. Where are you appealing to? The head, right? You are stating the facts, why this is a problem. Then once you're done with that, you move to the heart. Perhaps if we are able to get additional clinics or convert some of the ones for men, then it makes a case for us. How do you feel if it was your own woman, your own daughter who was here? What about if it was your own sister? Would you be happy if you were seeing her move from the classroom to the toilet? Where are you appealing to? The heart. And then you end the conversation with what they should do. Then you say, having said that, a way forward will be create additional 2 or 3 restrooms, or I think we can also just move some of the ones from, the men to the women, or perhaps we can also create another hall with more restrooms. Whatever works. What are you appealing to? The hands, because the person you're speaking to has something to do, which means the person can take action. So
my name is Lois Chinedu. I'm a justice specialist. I work in the intersection of gender and disability inclusion. And I would just want to encourage most young women. My interest into gender work is specifically because of the unequal representation and then gender norms that we've seen in society. while growing and in my days in the university, I would always find out that when there was a need to make some contributions, women would always, stand up to contribute. No one will accept what you said. But if a man stands up to say exactly what was said by a woman, it will let with a lot of applause, a round of applause. And I started asking myself questions. But this is exactly the same thing that this person has said. Why is it now a problem? Or why is it mostly appreciated with the men? And from moving from that, I also had other encounters in school where I would always have to stand and speak on certain issues for women. And that was when I was told, perhaps you are in the wrong setting, you should be a women's advocate. And that thought stuck with me. Upon graduation, I started working in a consulting firm. And there again, I found out that it was always about when women were maltreated. That's when you hear my voice. And I remembered my lady then, Aisha Maina. She just told me perhaps you should consider going into the NGO sector. You would do better at it. I didn't know what it was about, but that was my journey into all of this. And then when I got into the NGO sector, I saw firsthand some of the issues that women experienced, either in the school setting, because my first level was in education. And then I started asking questions around why this issue of persistence. And of course that led me into the governance space. But generally speaking, what has kept me through all is the passion to be able to change laws. The passion to want to bring better outputs for women and girls. And then along the way I also found out that for every time a woman faces a challenge, women with disabilities suffer twice or 3 times more of that challenge that an able-bodied person faces. And of course that became my linkage, gender and disability. My advice to young people here is, there is something that you want to do. You will know this most times from an early stage in life, but it's always the fear. How do we go about this? But I had people who tried to push me into the spaces where I should be. And when I got into those spaces, I decided not to keep mute. I have been doing the work of gender for over 12 years, and that's because I know that this is a place where I want to be. What has been most transforming for me is to see a lot of young people that I have trained in the past who are doing better and are also asserting themselves, a lot of which have become feminist leaders. And so, this propelled me to want to do more. And I speak to every young girl out there. I say this with all sense of seriousness and responsibility. You are more than enough. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing that you cannot achieve if you set your heart to it. So I tell you today, set your heart to it. Be confident. Like I asked, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is initially they would say, this person is becoming too much. But are you too much for yourself? You can never be too educated. You can never be too overdressed. You can never be too anything. As long as you are achieving your aim and then you're dreaming, keep achieving, keep excelling. The world will open up for you and will support you. Thank you.